Welcome back to Garden Talk, brought to you by the Penn State Erie County Extension Master Gardeners. Again, today I'm your co-host, Mike Bailey, and along with me is
Ellen Diplacido.
Ellen.
Good to hear from you.
Yes, good to hear from you also. Hey, what I'd like to do today is kind of go back to some of the questions that come into the garden hotline at the Extension office, because there are some things that are a little bit repetitious, and which means that a lot of people out there might be thinking of the same thing. And I got three different items here. Okay, number one is this blue, green, grayish type stuff that grows on the trunk and the branches of my trees in my yard. How big of a concern is this? Are you familiar with this stuff, Ellen?
I am. I think you're talking about lichens.
Yes, I'm talking about lichens, yes.
Yes. Well, I thought a year ago it was a big concern, but because I was trying to take it off, and that's not appropriate.
It's not. No, it's not necessary. It's tough to do also.
No.
And these lichens are nothing more than a combination of a fungal growth and a blue-green algae type of a growth. And they don't take any nutrients or moisture from the plant that they're growing on. They simply grow on the surface of that trunk and those branches, and they'll even grow on the surface of a rock. So you know they're not getting any moisture or nutrients out of a rock. So they're just there, and that's how the type of an organism it is. It's completely harmless to that particular tree. It gets all of its moisture and nutrients from the air and from the rain that falls upon it, and some of the nutrients that are in the air and in that moisture that it pulls out of the rain. So don't be frightened by that. It's really, a lot of people say that it's an indication of good air quality. So don't worry about the lichens. They're perfectly normal, and they're not going to harm your tree at all. One of the other things that we see or hear from on a regular basis are the decline of the Colorado blue spruce in this particular area. And a lot of it's just really taking out all of these trees. In fact, I had to remove all of mine. In fact, we have a neighbor who's probably going to have to remove all of his also very shortly. And it's a fungal infection, and you can see that it's kind of starts at the base of the tree and it drops the needles, and it really thins out, and some of the branches look dead. And no matter how many you cut off, it keeps climbing. This has always been around, but it's really got a real good toehold about 6 or 8 years ago when we had a couple of really cold, nasty winters, and it seemed to stress these trees a little bit. You keep in mind that the Colorado blue spruce is not native to our area. I mean, it's native to obviously Colorado. And the climate in Colorado is a little bit different than ours, primarily from a humidity level. And these plants, even in our area, will do reasonably well if they're planted as a solitary specimen. You get into trouble when people plant them, for windbreaks, for privacy screens, where they plant them relatively close together and the branches kind of grow together. And what happens then is you compromise the airflow, around that tree. And what that does, it increases the moisture, within that cluster of branches. And if you increase the moisture, just like in your basement, it's going to give that an opportunity for that fungus, to start to grow, and it will take hold. And it's very, very impractical to try to spray these trees. It doesn't work. So you have to almost resign to the idea that it's that they're really going to probably continue to decline. And I somewhat discourage people from even planting them, except if you're going to put them in as a solitary specimen where you got good airflow, and they're going to be beautiful. They're going to be beautiful for a number of years if you can keep them healthy. But I've never really been impressed with the Colorado blue spruces around here. Once they get old, I think they all look kind of ratty. But that's my own personal opinion. Versus another type of tree, as they get older, they can still stay nice and good looking. In fact, there's a lot of evergreens that'll stay nice and good looking even as they age. the hemlock trees, okay, or some Norway spruces. They'll look good as they age. The other thing that we get a lot of questions about at the hotline are the ash trees, and this emerald ash borer, which kind of everybody knows about, and where it's a situation where this emerald ash borer, which is not a very large bug, but what it does, it lays its eggs on the bark, and those eggs hatch, and that larva burrows underneath the bark, and and that's where the larva of that bug really starts to grow. And what it does, it feeds off of the vascular system of that plant, of that tree. And the vascular system, of course, is used to transport not only water back and forth in the tree, but nutrients. And that's what the bug itself survives on. And what it does, it destroys that vascular system. And just like your own personal vascular system, okay, if it gets plugged up, guess what? Everything distal to that point starts to hurt, doesn't it? And so you can see this on the ash trees. Some of them, okay, will start to have spotty, death of branches throughout the tree where the bug has actually landed on it, and the larva has burrowed underneath and kind of destroyed that vascular system and affects everything from that particular point out. So it starts off with a kind of a spotty dieback in the tree, but eventually it kind of gets to the point where over 50% of the branches are gone, and at that particular point, it's not worth trying to save. In fact, there's a debate out there as to how much effort and money should I really put into this whole issue of trying to keep these trees healthy. There's soil drenches and there's injections that you can use. But I think in the bottom line is probably what they're coming down to is that if these trees are small, that is having a trunk diameter of probably 3 or 4 inches or less, they're probably worth putting the effort into. But if it's anything older than that, it's probably going to be a futile effort to try to save them. So, investigate that. If you have that particular type of a problem, okay, don't be afraid to talk to a couple of landscapers or tree trimmers about it and stuff like that, and make your decision. But those are tough. So the emerald ash borer is a tough problem. Blue spruce decline is a tough problem, and the lichens are not a problem at all.
Lichens is not.
Just enjoy it.
Lichens are not. And I think one thing that we mentioned before was that, remember, on these ash trees, that wood is still good.
Yes.
So, I mean, if you find somebody who wants that wood, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
It's still good wood.
Because all they really have done is messed up the surface of the wood on the vascular system. So, well, Ellen, we've used our time for today. In fact, we've gone way overboard. So thank you for listening, everybody, and hope to have you next time. Thank you.